Hello, in this video we'll show you how to use maps for Adobe Creative Cloud with the LandIS Soil Portal. In the portal you can select from the ArcGIS Online applications and they appear on the screen like this, and one of them is Maps for Adobe Creative Cloud. You can select this, it takes you to the Adobe Creative Cloud downloads page, and you can install the appropriate software. Here I'm installing for Apple Macintosh. It takes you through the process of installing the software, and when you're ready you can agree with the license and go on to install the software. Here now in Adobe Illustrator you have to activate the extension ArcGIS Maps for Adobe Creative Cloud. First thing you have to do is to log in. Select the ArcGIS Online option and enter in the address of the LandIS Soil Portal without the .maps.arcgis.com at the end. Notice you may also need to remove the HTTPS at the beginning of the line. Once this works, you can use your username and password to log in. This is the same username and password you would use on the LandIS Soil Portal. Adobe Illustrator uses artboards to arrange the graphical layout, and these helper pages come up to enable you to create the artboard you need. First, you need to import the extent of the map. You can either draw on the screen or import, as we will hear, from a layer, from a web map, or from a file with the settings in it. Let's use a layer. Here we go to the groups, and we can select the National Soil Inventory, or NSI. We'll select NSI Topsoil 1. We're trying to draw a map of carbon. In this case we use the data's projection and close. The projection now shows the area that the map will be, and note you can move the mapping area around by picking up the top tab and nudging the map up and down. There's a number of options. You can preview the map, look at the properties, duplicate it, or indeed delete if you want to start again. Let's add some content. So we go to the Add Content dialog and we select Add Layers. We could also overwrite or add places. Once again we select Groups and the National Soil Inventory NSI and select NSI Topsoil 1. The data now appears in the map compilation screen. Notice there's no base map. Let's add one. The tool allows us to choose from a whole range of different base maps. We'll choose the simple light grey, and our data is now placed over the top of that base map. At the moment the symbols are simple red dots. Let's change the style of those symbols. Look at the other options that are there. We change the style, but first we need to select a field to map. We're drawing a map of carbon, so we'll select carbon. And now a range of options appear on the screen. We can choose Create Color, and there's the map that appears. Press Done when we're finished. and we have to sync back to the artboard in Adobe Illustrator. Now this process does take a little time to run, so let's speed up the process a little bit here. When it's finished, the tool will pass the data back to the map for you to see, and here it is. And now you can customize the map, and you can do this in a number of ways. The map is successfully synced, and now there it is on your artboard. Let's just arrange the tools neatly over on the side. Let's look at the options we have to customize the map. There's a range of options here. One of them, for example, is to add a map scale. So we can add a map scale, and what it does is it places this underneath the artboard on the left hand side there. If we zoom in a bit, we can see that there's actually a scale in miles and in kilometers, and we can select the one we want and move it onto the artboard where it will be on the map. In addition to that, we may also want a map legend. Again, we can select Create Legend, and the legend is placed off the bottom of the artboard. So if we clean up the screen a bit, we can zoom down and find the new legend. The legend shows items for everything on the map, including the backdrop. We don't want that, so we can delete all the elements pertaining to the backdrop and just keep the data for the soil map itself. Of course, if we delete things, we have to resize the box. We can do that easily like this. Once we've resized the legend, again, we can grab the whole thing and move that up onto the artboard as well. There we go. Lastly, we may want to add a title, and for this we can use the normal text tools in Adobe Illustrator. And we can enter a title and then change its appearance, the font and the size and color and so on. In fact, now you have all the materials in the artboard, you can use all of the tools in Adobe Illustrator to customize your map. In this case, let's just make the font a little bigger. At this point, your map is finished, and you can export the map out or save it off. In this case, we will save the map by exporting it. And there it is. Thanks for watching.